I'm beginning my usual route into the city. Thursdays can be good. It's now 2:30 and I've just come my usual route along the highway. You never really get anything along there. And if I'm lucky, I might be able to get something in the city. Current conditions in London, it's about a week away from the flower show. Hasn't quite picked up yet. Each day still feels a bit hit or miss. I've had some lucky days and I've had some not so good days. But Thursday, my chances are in a bit more. You know, in the city, you sometimes get people on the thirsty Thursdays. We might get a job around here, it might take us west, but it's always worth trying to come back here around 5 PM onwards on a Thursday, because luck could be in. Wish me luck. As you can see, there's 4 cabs on the Ned, so it could be a little bit slow. There's also a cab at the cheap side rank, but as I work through into Newgate Street, a hand goes up here just by St Paul's station. There's a lot of works going on in this St Paul's gyratory area, as it's called, and this hoarding doesn't really help pick up my passenger, but this gent wishes to go to Fenchurch Street, back the other direction. So it's not that far, but often in the City of London, you really only have one option of route, unless you do something sneaky. Leaving this on Newgate Street, I get a right into King Edward Street, right into Angel Street. This is a little taxi and buses only slip road that goes around the back of all that new development there, and right into St Mars le Grand. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be getting into Cheapside, but I want to set ourselves up for Bank Junction. This cuts out a lot of time. The only other way really of traversing across the city is using London Wall or Cannon Street. But I know if I get through Bank Junction, I might have to do some sneaky options, but it's always much clearer. And then leave that by Cornhill. If it was after 7 PM, I'd have much better options here. You do a right into the beginning of King William Street and a quick left into Lombard Street, which sets you up perfectly for the forward into Fenchurch Street. You can even go into Cornhill and use this little road called Birchin Lane on the right. But again, it's only available after 7 PM. So, have to get a little bit sneaky here. We get ourselves out onto Bishopsgate, get a U-turn, and we just progress our way down that way. Forward Gracechurch Street, left into Fenchurch Street, right Fenchurch Place, and set the customer down there. Did you know that Fenchurch Street is the only mainline railway station in London without an underground stop? Dropping the gent there just before 3 o'clock. And you can see on Cannon Street exactly why I was avoiding this route. West to east on Cannon Street is always naff in the afternoons, especially on a Thursday, and especially today because there's a broken down bus right at this climactic point here by the crossing. As I head down Cannon Street, I actually have a cab driver point out to me that there's a job up ahead. It's one of the cool things about our trade. Despite the fact we're in direct competition with one another, we'd rather that work stays within us. And it's really important to be able to point out jobs to your colleagues, because if someone's been standing on the street for 10 minutes or so, they might download an app and they might get a car arrive from some kind of dark app. And we don't want that. So it's really important to be able to just say, "Oi mate, job over there." This job is an example as to why so many cab drivers are fearful of working in the city. It's a short job, but your options are so limited because of the restrictions in the city. So they're after 88 Wood Street. Wood Street kind of extends quite a bit. It goes from Cheapside all the way through up until the Barbican. And the bit they want is just underneath London Wall. It's a little one-way section. Gotta get it from Gresham Street. So my options here, I'm gonna go Cannon Street, right into New Change, left into Newgate Street, right into King Edward Street, forward Little Britain, forward Montague Street, comply by the Rotunda, and leave by Aldersgate Street. Forward into St Martin's le Grand, because I'm going to be getting a left into Gresham Street. And this is what I mean. If you take that little Angel Street cut through, you miss Gresham Street. But because I know I need that bit of Wood Street, this is going to be more effective for me here. Left into Wood Street and set down on left. When they got in, they said they were trying to get a tube, but the tubes were playing up. And I'm thinking, what kind of tube journey are you doing from Cannon Street to Wood Street? That's sort of the thing that some people don't really understand about cabs. They go, oh yeah, it's a short journey. But these people were there going from one office meeting to another. The tube isn't really a viable option. Buses certainly aren't, because they're just going to be going through the city, not kind of getting around the city. And it's a little bit too far to walk. It's just a bit annoying of a walk. So that's where cabs really fill the gap. Now, the city has been okay for me, but bearing in mind with the traffic conditions, it could get a little bit sticky.
Now, the only thing that's more difficult than driving across the City of London is actually stopping and getting food, which is where the sponsor of today's video comes in, who is YFood, introducing their limited edition summer flavours. This is a special selection of 3 flavours that come in a pack of 6, including lime, orange and lemon, giving that real zesty feel for summer. If you're not familiar with YFood, one of these bottles contains 500 calories, so they're super convenient to carry in your work bag or when you're working at home, as I am today. 26 vitamins and minerals and plenty of protein means that these are going to leave you full and refreshed wherever you may be. The fruity flavours are much more yogurt-like and they're super refreshing to have on hot days like this. YFood are giving you guys 10% off of your next order. Just use my code, which is taxi-YouTube, or hit that link in the description down below, and that'll be applied at checkout. You can do that on any size order, including these limited edition ones, so grab them whilst they're still in stock. Now, let's get back to the rest of the shift. Today, I was going to do a shift exclusively working in the city, just to see like what Thursdays are like and can you work exclusively in the city. But the thing is, the way you drive around the city now is so difficult. Years ago, you could flow through there, you could do lots of different routes. But as you've just seen on those 2 routes, it's just so sticky and every journey has to come at a compromise. I think if I did a whole shift working there, I'd probably scrub out my tyres by the end of it, because you're constantly doing U-turns to overcome like one restriction and get yourself into another restriction. And you saw how bad the traffic was there on Cannon Street because they're broken down bus. Queen Victoria Street eastbound, also naff. So any job I get is going to be a compromise, really. So I kind of want to get out of here. Rain's starting to come down a little bit now, which could just sway a few people into cabs. It's nearly 3:15. And now I'm going to try and get myself west. But I don't have to go far. Right here by Ferrari's Cafe, a hand goes up, and this gent is after Paddington, specifically the Praed Street entrance. Now, normally I would go through Smithfield Market and then out via Charterhouse Street, but at the moment, that west part of Charterhouse Street is one-way eastbound only. Bear left into Smithfield Street, and we get a right into Snow Hill. From here, it's a right into Farringdon Street, forward Farringdon Road, going past the new Postmark development and Mount Pleasant sorting office, and forward King's Cross Road. Left into Acton Street, before getting a right into Gray's Inn Road. Bear left into Euston Road, going past King's Cross Station, and from here we can truck it on out. Forward Euston Road, forward Euston Underpass, forward Euston Road. Forward Marylebone Road. Slows up a little bit on the approach to Baker Street, and rather going over the Marylebone flyover as though we're going to set it from the actual taxi rank, we get left into Old Marylebone Road, going over Edgware Road, forward Sussex Gardens, right Norfolk Place, and I think the gent in the back can foresee that there's a little bit of traffic here, so he opts to hop out here at Norfolk Place. You see a lot of these kind of trucks unloading all over London, and particularly in this Sussex Gardens, Paddington kind of area, because of linen for all the hotels. Just after 4 o'clock, heading down Park Lane, a hand goes up here on the junction of Upper Brook Street. This is a lovely American gent who says Pan Pacific Hotel. This is golden. I've just come from the city over to Paddington, and now I've got one from Park Lane all the way back to the city. This is
Not that common to be able to kind of do 2 of these on the bounce. This week previously has been a bit average. So to have a nice long sustained journey like this, especially at the beginning of the shift, just means it puts me in good standings to have a good day. So we leave by Park Lane, going all the way down to the bottom by Hyde Park Corner, around Duke of Wellington Place, and left into Constitution Hill. Working this route backwards, you've basically got to get to London Wall. To get to London Wall, I need a rotunda. To get there, I need Newgate Street. And then to get there, I'm probably going to come in via Fetter Lane. So, here's how it goes. Forward the Mall. Forward into Admiralty Arch. That brings us out by King Charles I Island, just south of Trafalgar Square. Leave that by the east side of Trafalgar Square, and we're going to get a right into Duncannon Street. This gent really represents a very slim amount of taxi passengers, in that he is so present and accommodating with talk. A lot of people will give you the address, get in the cab, they might do a bit of chit-chat back and forward, but often they're chatting with you, and then they're looking at their phone, and then they're playing with their phone, and then they, oh, sorry, driver, I've got to do this, whatever. They're not really there with you. It's more like, oh, I've got in your cab, I've got to just do the niceties, but really I'd rather just be doing this. Whereas, to be honest, most cab drivers don't really care. This guy, however, is just so present, and not even usual cab driver gambit stuff, like trying to do the small talk just because he thinks he should be doing small talk, like really wanting to be part of the conversation. And sadly, they're few and far between, because a lot of people are so distracted they can't really get into the flow of the conversation because they're not present enough. Forward into Aldwych, left into this little taxi only slip here that brings you out by the Royal Courts of Justice. From Fleet Street, we're going to get a left into Fetter Lane, and that forwards into New Fetter Lane. A Holborn Circus, get a right into Holborn Viaduct. Forward Newgate Street, left King Edward Street, forward Little Britain, forward Montague Street, and comply by the Rotunda. Leave by London Wall, forward over Moorgate, forward London Wall, forward Wormwood Street, forward Chamomile Street, left Outwich Street, and left into that little bit of Houndsditch there where I can drop the gent off. It's quite nice and gives me a little bit of a tip and just says how much he loves London cabs. Now, as I come out onto Bishopsgate here, I can see that a lot of taxis are leaving Liverpool Street with jobs on. So it's kind of a good indicator that the rank might be moving. So I have to do the little convoluted U-turn here on Bishopsgate. Why we have this, I do not know. Every taxi coming southbound on Bishopsgate has to do a U-turn to access the rank. Every taxi leaving Liverpool Street to go north has to do a U-turn on Bishopsgate because you can't turn left out of the station.
Well, I gotta say, that's not really indicative of how my weeks have been going lately in the cab. But it's all down to luck at the end of the day. Sometimes when it's quiet in the cab, you just bounce from, say, £10 job to £10 job, right? They're just little jobs here and there. You don't mind them, but when it's quiet, you struggle to find the job, then get the job. It's just a little £10 job, and then you're without a job again. You've got to try to find a job. You've got to repeat the cycle. So you can bag just like big jobs like that and just get straight on to the next one. So I'm already in a bit of a comfortable position, and Liverpool Street seems to be moving, but who knows where they want to go. That could be difficult. Not quite 5 o'clock yet. They might want to go to London Bridge, and then that's pretty difficult. And it does look a little bit slower, but it will gradually move, as seen by the fact that just 7 minutes later, I'm on to this job. Now, this is a little job off to the Leonardo Tower Bridge, not to be confused with the one in Trinity Square, which I'd imagine would probably be called Tower Hill. It's actually called the Leonardo Royal City, which is not to be confused with the Leonardo Royal St Paul's. I'd think St Paul's is more the city. Anyway, hotel names can get quite confusing. And this is one of those jobs that you can kind of see it as the crow flies, but you know, it's just a lot of wiggling to kind of get there. Here's how I do it. Leaving by Liverpool Street, I'm going to get a right onto Bishopsgate, left into Chamomile Street, and left Outwich Street. Bear that round right into Houndsditch and get a left into St Botolph Street. This can get really bad
in the afternoon, because again, it's another major route out of the city, especially now that you can't drive down Bishopsgate. Left into Whitechapel High Street, and we need to get down Leman Street, but you can't do a right turn here. So I have to go left into Old Castle Street, right Pommel Way, and this brings you round the back of the Ibis Hotel. Right into Commercial Street, where I can then forward down Leman Street. All nice and clear here. Right into Prescott Street, and then en route, I just asked the lady if she wishes to be dropped on this kind of side entrance here, or the proper forecourty bit out front, and she's fine with this. Quick job, just taking 10 minutes. Now, as I left, the city looked like it was pumping, right? 5 o'clock on a Thursday in the city is the kind of golden time when it starts shifting. And as predicted, when I come back in via Middlesex Street, just look at all that traffic going around the Aldgate Gyratory. Mad just how much difference 10 minutes can make. I do wonder if it's worth me going back to Liverpool Street. The trouble with it is that it can be a bit difficult to get to it, few sequences of lights, and then you get there and then like there's loads of cabs there. So I don't do that. Truck along London Wall, around the Rotunda, into Newgate Street, forward Holborn Viaduct, forward into Holborn. And at this point, I'm thinking, maybe my luck's run out. Maybe the city isn't pumping. I should have gone to Liverpool Street. Before this hand goes up on High Holborn. Now, this gentleman is after Rose Court. He lets me know that he just wishes to be dropped around the kind of Southwark Bridge area, like Park Street, underneath there, something like that. Southwark Bridge is one of those, like, difficult bridges. Even though it's, like, right on Southwark Bridge, there's no way of actually me getting to Southwark Bridge from the north to be able to do this. Only option is Blackfriars Bridge. You're not going to be going all the way over to London Bridge, and then Waterloo is just a little bit too far west. You're going to be going too far west and then come back on yourself. Turns out the approach I take is the worst one, but for reasons that I couldn't foresee. Let's give this a go. So, spin this around on High Holborn and forward into Holborn. Bear left into Charterhouse Street. All looks okay here until I realise the right turn from Charterhouse Street down into Farringdon Street is a little bit slow and sticky. Yeah, a bit annoying here. And getting onto Farringdon Street, this is super slow. Like, traffic has really hit here. Other options were, you can wiggle down New Fetter Lane, Fleet Street, right Bouverie Street, left Tudor Street, and then get a right out onto New Bridge Street that way. That probably would have been better, but normally this would have been fine. The cause of all this bad traffic? Yes, another broken down bus. Two in the city of London. Proper annoying, because obviously you got a lot of traffic going northbound, and because the broken down bus is heading southbound, there's no chance or opportunity to be able to pass it, because of course the traffic going north has priority. It's just so annoying that when stuff like this happens, why is there not like a police officer, someone from the City of London Police, directing traffic and making it a little bit better? When was the last time you ever saw the police directing traffic? I'd be very interested to know. So eventually getting through, and it proper clears up after that, and forward into New Bridge Street. Sets us up perfectly for Blackfriars Bridge, which then becomes Blackfriars Road. You get a left into Southwark Street, and left into Southwark Bridge Road. As we get a bit closer, he says, "Oh, can you actually drop me underneath the bridge?" I said, "Yeah, it's not a problem." So we get a left into Sumner Street, right Emerson Street, right Park Street, and then it would appear that there's actually a closure just underneath the bridge here, but he's more than happy to get out here. Where did all this rain come from? Glorious. People always say, "Oh, I bet you're really busy when it rains in the cab." It's kind of cool because it can make a slack period, or a period when it would be a little bit quieter, a bit busier. But it's kind of a hysteria for people wanting cabs, and then it dies down a bit. People realise they don't melt in the rain, so it creates a bit of a panic, and then it all just calms down. It's fine.
This is the shift of dead buses. Cannon Street, dead bus. New Bond Street, dead bus. Like, what on earth? And they just destroy themselves in the middle of the street, and what can you do about it? There's no one marshalling traffic, and that was right stuck on the crossing. What can I do? I'm thinking, though, because of the time of day, little bit of rain, like Buckingham Palace garden party, there was people there, and what that then does is it eats into the stock of cabs that are out and about. So gonna just get to somewhere where I can be about, turn my light back on, and hopefully go again. It's 5:45 now, so that's very much ideal. Now from here, I want to get back to the city, but I want to set myself up for the biggest kind of, I guess, stretch of like drive across the city to give me the best chance of getting a job. Also, can be a bit heavy going for Blackfriars Bridge. London Bridge is good because it's restricted from 7 AM to 7 PM with taxis being allowed over there, meaning that I can get over there quite quickly and I'm straight back into the city. We turn left onto Cannon Street and I get a hail right there at the start of Cannon Street. Only a little job. This one's going to the other Leonardo Hotel, Leonardo Royal St Paul's. This one's Godliman Street. And she like tests me on the way. She's like, oh, Godliman Street, do you know where that is? Yeah. I'm going to a rooftop bar in the hotel. Do you know where the hotel is? Yeah, it's on Godliman Street. Oh, okay. I do know what I'm doing. As we go along Cannon Street, you can see that bus that was broken down earlier is now being picked up and towed away, which is nice. I mean, I almost feel like leaning out the window and saying, oi mate, there's another one on Farringdon Street if you want to go grab that. This is simple. You can't really screw this one up. Cannon Street, forward through that little junction into the continuation of Cannon Street, forward St Paul's Churchyard, and left into Godliman Street. And as we pull up outside, she says, oh, is this the place? I'm like, yeah, Leonardo Royal St Paul's. Like, this is also a great sign. As I pull left into Godliman Street, there's a lady there trying to hail me down. More than likely, she's come up from the hotel and is desperately trying to scramble to find a cab. As I drop off, she comes up to my window and she says, driver, please can you get me to the Dominion Theatre? Oh, the Dominion, yes, on Tottenham Court Road. You're seeing Devil Wears Prada. She's like, wow, how do you know all that? The Dominion is one of those points I will never ever be able to forget. When I was on the knowledge, I was on the final stage of 28. The examiner asked me, I'm off to go see an American in Paris. Do you know where that's being shown? Luckily, I'd been doing my homework in the 21's questions, i.e. the final stage of the knowledge. Things like topographical points of interest. You know, what show is being shown at which theatre? If there's a new pop-up in London, you know, where is that based? And I was able to quite confidently say, yeah, Dominion Theatre, Tottenham Court Road. Yeah, it's cool. It's just one of those things that just will forever be there. So there is a multitude of options of how we can run this, but based upon the traffic I've encountered today, it's kind of a job to know what one of these is going to be any better than the other, right? So I just progress with a left into St Paul's Churchyard, forward into Ludgate Hill, forward over Ludgate Circus and into Fleet Street. I get chatting with this lady. It's her first time in London. She's from New York, and we just have a real good talk about the differences between, you know, New York etiquette and way of life versus London, New York taxi system versus London taxi system, and I ensure she gets a good insight into the knowledge, which thankfully one of my colleagues has already done that for me, so well done whoever did that. Forward Strand, and we're going to get a right into Aldwych. Now this is the more stickier part of the run, which is where we get in the right from Aldwych into the Kingsway. So you can go through Lincoln's Inn Fields using Remnant Street, but that light will only get 2-3 cars max through there. You've also got High Holborn, can also be a bit sticky at this time of day. So we just get this right turn here. From Kingsway into High Holborn, forward Prince's Circus, forward St Giles High Street, right Earnshaw Street, and left New Oxford Street. She's actually here a little bit early. She said, look, I'm hoping to maybe do some shopping and get a little bit of food before I go in. Not a problem. I just show her where the theatre is. I'm in a good position to do further hunting, dropping her there just before 10 to 7. I go forward into Oxford Street, and there's another hand straight away. Honestly, compared with how my week was, this was May, pre-Chelsea Flower Show. This was not how the rest of my week was panning out. I was having to fight tooth and nail to get jobs. And the tide just turned. It just felt like classic London, just how good this job can be. These people wish to go to Hans Place. So in Hanstown, in that area of like Belgravia and Knightsbridge. So we go forward Oxford Street and get a left into Regent Street. As I come down Regent Street, going past the Apple store, you have the lights where you can get a right into Hanover Street, where you can carry on going forward into Regent Street.
Now, what I want to do is get down into Mayfair, like Berkeley Square area. But all I'm literally doing here, if the lights in the right-hand lane to go into Hanover Street were green, I would take that. If the lights going down on Regent Street are green, I do that and then take a right into Conduit Street. Little ways of kind of shaving off a little bit of time on the route. Forward Bruton Street, comply by Berkeley Square, lead by Fitzmaurice Place, bear right into Curzon Street, left Bolton Street, and then we get the right into Piccadilly. Forward into the Piccadilly underpass, forward Knightsbridge, and then there at this point at Knightsbridge, depends where I am in the traffic or what happens at the traffic lights ahead, whether I cut this corner off as well. A little sneaky one here, you can do a left into Seville Street past the Park Tower Hotel, and you do a right into Harriet Walk, right Harriet Street, and that brings you out on Sloane Street. It's all just traffic light timings and where you end up in the queue of traffic, really. Sloane Street, right into Hands Crescent, left Herbert Crescent, around Hans Place, and drop him there. As I'm in the area, it does make sense to go and have a little look at the back door of Harrods. A little bit difficult to get on there. Obviously, you've got to come from Walton Street, but I'll assess what it's looking like first before going all the way around the block to Walton Street. And to be honest, too many silly buggers playing the over-ranking game at Harrods. I just disappear. I'll go pick up a job elsewhere. It's quite heavy traffic around Belgravia because currently, at the time of recording this, the Piccadilly underpass was shut again, eastbound, meaning that all the traffic is forced over the top, or you've got to come through Belgravia and come out this way. And I have to go on a proper hunt. I end up in the St James's Park area, but more because I'm kind of stuck here. Victoria Street, really, really heavy eastbound. Tothill Street, I can't really get anywhere, so I'm just kind of going around a little bit of a loop in St James's Park, hoping one of the hotels would have some work for me. This is the most stressful bit. Like when I was on Oxford Street earlier, it just felt like a tide had turned, and that you could just get a job from anywhere, and that, yeah, sweet, everything's hunky-dory. Like, and now, can't get a job, nothing's on the ranks, but then I can't get anywhere. Like, Buckingham Gate, absolutely chocker. Tothill Street, absolutely chocker. Victoria Street, absolutely chocker. Couldn't get in the lane to get into Buckingham Palace Road. You know, you want to get somewhere, but you also haven't got a job, so you have to either sit in traffic and hope someone picks up, or just continue driving around in weird little circles and things, like maybe go back down Victoria Street or something and hopefully pick up there. It's just the most gutting bit about the job. You just want to be efficient, and then this happens. According to the WhatsApp groups, Harrods is still loaded with cabs, so even if I did manage to get on the back there, it still probably would have been quite a slow moving rank. Maybe this is the slow part of the night coming in, now that we're into 7 o'clock. I just want to get a couple more jobs to hopefully try and ride me through that slack period. Coming in from the Mall and Marlborough Gate, I head into St James's Street, getting a hand there. Now this gent is just after Courtfield Gardens. This whole St James's Street area has been a nightmare lately because they've got so much works going on at the Ritz, they've actually narrowed down Piccadilly into like one lane, and as everyone's turning around that corner, so St James's Street, just proper no-go zone. With that in mind, I'm going to spin it and I'm going to use the Palace Roads to get us into the westmost direction. So, Marlborough Circus, through Marlborough Gate and forward into Marlborough Road. We're going to get a right onto the Mall. Comply by the Queen Victoria Memorial and leave by Constitution Hill, around Hyde Park Corner, leave that by Knightsbridge. You can see just how bad all that traffic is that would normally be going through the Piccadilly underpass. Forward Knightsbridge, bear left in a Brompton Road, forward Furlough Place, forward Cromwell Gardens, forward Cromwell Road. Past Gloucester Road Station and going past the Point West apartments on the north side, get left into Courtfield Gardens. There's lots of bits that make up Courtfield Gardens, so I ask him exactly where, and he's just on this southmost part here. dropping off there about 10 to 8. In this area, I'm not going to go in the little streets. I'm just going to head back via Cromwell Road. And as I'm going along Brompton Road, back into the Scotch Corner direction, I have a job here on the north side of Brompton Road. A little bit of an area of contention, really. This is opposite the taxi rank at Harrods. That little corner rank there. Brompton Road is quite a wide stretch of road, 2 lanes on either side. So it's not really practical for me to say to this customer, sorry, you've got to go to the rank over there. And nor can the driver do a U-turn off of that rank. Gentlemen, it's after the Chelsea Harbour Hotel, our furthest job west so far today. But annoyingly, because I can't do the U-turn where I am, I have to sort of wiggle through the Trevors and stuff. There's a few ways you can do this, and annoyingly, looking back at it, I probably should just gone into Lancelot Place, done a U-turn, and then just done a right out onto Brompton Road, into and around Trevor Square, and leave that by Trevor Street. You then get a left into Trevor Place, right Montpellier Square, and down into Montpellier Street to get a right onto Brompton Road. Almost basically right where we began. Anyway, Brompton Road, bear left into Brompton Road, and we're going to be going down the Fulham Road. To get to the Chelsea Harbour Hotel, the most optimum street I'm after is a little one called Milman Street. And it just joins the King's Road onto the Chelsea Embankment, or it might be Cheney Walk at that point. So, buzz it down the Fulham Road, and I don't know why, but I get mega confused with like Cranley Gardens, Elm Park Gardens, all of that. Like if someone says, oh, Cranley Gardens, it all just blurs into one in my mind. Using cabbies, mate, I do a left into Elm Park Gardens, right Elm Park Road, and do a left onto the Vale. Now this is quite important. I want to get a right onto the King's Road. So I'm going to do the Vale, right King's Road, over the junction of Beaufort Street, go around that little bit of bend, and that's where you get your left into Milman Street. From Milman Street, you get the right onto Cheney Walk, left into Lots Road, and left into Chelsea Harbour Drive, dropping him there. I've not got any intel of what's going on in this Chelsea area. The habituation is just to head back in. And I've spoken to other cab drivers and colleagues how years ago there would be more of a demand for work in some of these outlet areas if you knew how and where to look for it. But, just playing it safe, I know that the majority of the work is going to be in the West End, so let's go there. 20 minutes goes by on this drive back in, and there's absolutely nothing. And I'm feeling a bit peckish, really wanting to stop for dinner. I'm thinking I'm going to go to Chipotle on St Martin's Lane. I can park up neatly on Charing Cross Road in the rest rank there. Sorted. So cut through, really optimising all my way of getting to dinner. I got Orange Street, left Irvine Street, left on the Charing Cross Road, and bang, a hand goes up for me. This always happens in the cab. If you want to go to the toilet or something, you will get hailed on the way to the toilet. If you want to start driving home and you've still got your light on, you will get hailed. And of course, if you're hungry, then this will happen as well. From the week I've had, more than obliging, I can wait a little bit on dinner. Now they're after Lambeth Road. These are some, I think they're French tourists, but they're staying at an Airbnb there. So let's go check this out, see what it looks like. Spin it around on Charing Cross Road and we go down into St Martin's Place. That's the east side of Trafalgar Square. Comply by King Charles I Island and leave by Whitehall. Forward Parliament Street, and I'm going to be getting a left into Bridge Street. This kind of is online for, say, like Lambeth Bridge. It's going to be marginally quicker if we go over Westminster Bridge and drop into it, just because of the way that the roads work in that Lambeth area. Forward Westminster Bridge Road. Go around that little bit of the Westminster Park Plaza and underneath the tunnels there by Waterloo Station, and forward into Westminster Bridge Road. Right into Kennington Road, and then we're going to get right into Lambeth Road. Now after Ferry Bridge House. Now, doesn't really like the most impressive Airbnb. If anything, it looks like a bit of a council estate. Now I could stop at Sapori's for some dinner. Sometimes when I'm in the cab, I like to have a bit of a stop, have a bit of a breather, have a proper nice hot meal. Today, I'm quite enjoying the rhythm of working, so I'm going to keep that flow going. Parking up here on Marsham Street to quickly just nip into Sainsbury's and grab a drink and some snacks. So 9 o'clock, that wonderful slack hour. I've done better than expected. Where would I rate it? It's not a 10 out of 10 shift. Probably I'm going to put it about 7 out of 10. Pretty good.
Could be better. I mean, it can always be better, but it was unexpected actually from what I've had this week. I'm going to go to the lung because it's just a nice easy way to go to the toilet, and I might even put a little bit of charge in my cab because I'm just about to run out. 9 o'clock, meaning that we've probably got another couple of hours before I want to knock it on the head and get home. Let's see where we end up. Follow my quick refuel, I head back into Central, have a bit more of a hunt about, and even more disastrous road closures. I head down into the Haymarket direction and I get hailed right here at Piccadilly Circus, just after 20 past 9 at this point. They're only after Oxford Circus, short run, but because I've already committed down into Haymarket direction, I'm going to have to go down Haymarket, right Charles II Street and come back up to Piccadilly Circus. And it's always a little bit embarrassing, especially if the traffic is against you. You know, you're having to do that just to get back to where you started from. And annoyingly, it's only going to get worse as more and more stuff gets pedestrianised, as more and more stuff gets narrowed down and goes into one way and stuff like that. Comply by Piccadilly Circus, leave that by Regent Street, and we just go all up Regent Street and drop near Oxford Circus here. What I like to do in some really busy areas of people and just ensure that, you know, I cause minimum disruption as possible is that I'll stop the meter. That allows them to then pay, keep the doors locked, and I just say, look, if the lights turn green, we'll just go through the lights and then I can drop you somewhere safe. If not, then, you know, once they turn red, then you can hop out. And then obviously I'm mindful to make sure there's no cyclists, anything like that going past. Otherwise, if you stop the meter and you say, yeah, get out here, door goes open, door stays open, cyclists might come up the inside, get really pissed off with you, the lights might turn green, the bus driver gets pissed off with you. It's just endless, and I just don't want that aggro. It's one of the things that kind of does suck about card transactions. You know, years ago with cash, people would just throw cash through the slot and just go, there you go, driver, see ya. I have a little bit of a hunt in the Mayfair area, but I'm thinking Piccadilly, you know, 9:30, we're in that bit where the theatres are about to burst. So let's just stay in this area here. Don't have to go too far because on Bruton Street, I have this job just outside the Pret, you know, corner of Bruton Street and Regent Street, and thereafter the Fitzroy Kimpton. As soon as they get in, I'm already thinking, which U-turn do I take? But I'll draw it up for you. This is what the legal line looks like. How convoluted is that? Look at all that wiggling. It doesn't feel nice, especially if people know where they're going. They're like, why are we going up and down so much? Why are we taking so many turns? It doesn't look nice when I know that I've got to draw this up on the map later. People online are going to see this. That's not going to look nice. I have a choice of 2 U-turns here. I can either go straight up Regent Street, left Oxford Street, U-turn on Oxford Street to then get me just neatly traversing east, or I can do this one, which doesn't feel as bad. Right Great Marlborough Street, left Poland Street, left Oxford Street, do a U-turn in that little sort of lowered bit there, and then just go forward all the way along Oxford Street. You used to be able to cut the lights on the corner of Tottenham Court Road and Oxford Street here by doing Hanway Place, going past Bradley's Spanish restaurant and forwarding into Great Russell Street. But you get to the end of Hanway Place now and it forces you right down Tottenham Court Road, so it just kind of undoes it, which is annoying because that's like one of those real classic rat runs. Anyway, we just go along Oxford Street, left Tottenham Court Road, right Great Russell Street. Eventually get through the lights of Great Russell Street, going past the British Museum, left Montague Street, forward and right Russell Square, right Fitzroy Kimpton, set down on left. Dropping them there nearly 10 o'clock. This is sweet time now. Just going to head straight to the Aldwych because around about 10 o'clock onwards is when all the theatres on the Aldwych start popping. But annoyingly, because of the direction I'm coming in, as I do a right into the Aldwych, I'm on the south side and all the theatres are on the north. And we're not allowed to do a U-turn there because it's a solid white line, which is a 3-point offence for crossing that solid white line. But I'm lucky that by STK and like Radio Rooftop Bar there, a hand goes up for the job of the century, which is Waterloo Station. Woo! So, left Lancaster Place,
forward Waterloo Bridge. As I go over Waterloo Bridge, as always, you say, which entrance would you like? And they're fine with the steps. Comply by Tennyson Way roundabout, lead by York Road, left into Mepham Street, bosh, Waterloo Station. Fantastic. Leave Waterloo, go back over Waterloo Bridge. We're still in good timing to have a second go at the Aldwych, and this time round I will be going around the Aldwych the correct way. As I'm coming back over Waterloo Bridge, I was kind of casting my mind back to all the times that I've actually picked up on Waterloo Bridge. Because it's difficult now because they've got those solid barriers in, so if someone does hail you on the bridge, well, they can't really get in the cab because they've got to jump over the barrier. No need. Right by the bus stop here, I have some ladies who are clearly waiting for the bus who wish to go to Euston Station. Nice. So pick these up, and it's clearly a bus route because it's just straight. You know, you just go straight and we get there. So forward Waterloo Bridge, forward into the Strand underpass, come out the other side into Kingsway. And this is even more beautiful this time of night because going through the Strand underpass means I can avoid all of that Aldwych madness. Just look how busy it is up ahead there. Forward Southampton Row. Forward Russell Square, forward Woburn Place, forward Tavistock Square, forward Upper Woburn Place, forward Euston Square, and left into Euston Square Gardens. I have to apologise on behalf of the people who laid out Euston Station that their drop-off is so damn far away from the station itself. Now I drove at 20 past 10 and I'm thinking I might better get straight onto the rank here at Euston. Sometimes you can get some sort of big jobs at these times of night at these stations, right? Now, a lady does come and knock on my window.
Hello, madam. I can't, the rank's just round the corner there. I have to go around to the rank there, yeah.
I'm right by the rank. I can see there's about 4 cabs there. So, even though there's this kind of weird divider partition-y thing between me and the rank, it's a bit of a shit if I was to take the job from those guys on the rank. So I drive away from the rank and head back into the kind of West End madness again. And as I'm going down Kingsway, there's a gent opposite Holborn Station who's trying to hail me down. Annoyingly, this is one of those areas with a nice big no U-turn sign. It's just always been down here on Kingsway. And Camden Council have cameras along this whole stretch of Kingsway. So even if I want to do it like on the sneakiness, can't do it. I unwind my window and I say to the gent, I say, really sorry, mate. Like, I know you're over there. I can't actually come and U-turn to get you. And he says, no worry, I'll come over to you. Fine. Hops on in, and he was in the wrong direction anyway. He's going to Clapham Junction. Good time to get this, because especially when the West End madness is happening, it's nice to be able to just get a job that just takes you out. So, Kingsway, right Aldwych, left Lancaster Place, forward into Waterloo Bridge. Leave by York Road, go round Westminster Park Plaza, leave by Lambeth Palace Road, through that awful mess they've made of like Lambeth Circus, why we had to get rid of roundabouts, but of course AI cars can't do roundabouts, that's probably why. Forward Albert Embankment, going past that old petrol station that's now been pulled down. Be very interesting to see what goes there, probably be some sort of luxury apartments, and into the Vauxhall Gyratory. Around into South Lambeth Road, right Parry Street, and left Wandsworth Road. This goes past that new fancy Nine Elms station. Always annoying whenever I go past Nine Elms station, and they do this with a lot of like new tube stations. They do it with Bank station as well. Why do they have the shutters pulled over in the day when it's like open? Like big atrium like entrance. No, we'll pull half the shutters across. Forward Wandsworth Road, going past Wandsworth Road Station, and over the junction of Queenstown Road, where that becomes Lavender Hill. Forward Lavender Hill, and forward into St John's Hill. Gent just wants to be dropped off here. Like, nice quick job that, like 24 minutes to just knock out something where you're just driving, just casual, just nice, easy breeze. Now, that was a pretty sweet job. I was just going to go home on that because I'm out of town now. I really can't bother to go back in and then get something. But what I've just seen on some of the WhatsApp groups is that the Royal Albert Hall has just burst. And I can get there in about 16 minutes. It's a bit risky because it depends what's going on at the Royal Albert Hall. I.e., some stuff doesn't have much cab demand, other stuff has a lot. and it's Paul Simon, which is apparently a lot of 60s and 70s year olds. So that means that whole venue is packed full of cab clientele. So I think it might be worth it. I've got to kind of go like northeast anyway. So if I just go over the river, go via Royal Albert Hall, that could be a nice final one to send me off, and we'll see where we end up after that. And I think then it'll definitely be my night. The thing is, when it's busy like this on the streets, like on that job, as I was running it around the Aldwych, there's just people everywhere, and you just cast your mind back to the times of the year when it's been so slow and it's been so slack. And you're like, well, I'm here, I might as well just fill my boots, right? Or maybe the elite move is those guys at Clapham Junction Station. But the thing is, I think that only really serves well if you live south, because the sort of people who are going to come into Clapham Junction Station are going to want to go somewhere around here, right? So you could sit there for a bit. Yeah, it could be quicker than me driving back to Royal Albert Hall, but the likely job that's going to come from that, I'd imagine, I've never banked at Clapham Junction, so someone tell me otherwise, but the likely job at this time of night is going to take you further south. Don't want that. Let's get to the Royal Albert Hall and we'll see. So to get there as quick as possible, I take a left onto Falcon Road, right Battersea Park Road, and left into Battersea Bridge Road. Forward Battersea Bridge, it's looking pretty good for me so far. Forward Beaufort Street, and then wiggle our way up. I'm going to come in via Queen's Gate. I don't even get to the Royal Albert Hall before I get this job, going to Nevern Square. Yes, majority of jobs will go to, say, South Ken, Gloucester Road, those kind of areas. But you can get some big ones out to King's Cross and Liverpool Street, and Victoria is quite a popular one as well. But Nevern Square, opposite direction. This is one of those squares sandwiched in between Earls Court Road and Warwick Road. It should just be Queen's Gate, right Cromwell Road, left Earls Court Road, right Trebobia Road, right Warwick Road, and then back into that bit of Nevern Square. But pull onto Cromwell Road, and there is a load of traffic here. To be honest, the sat-nav wants me to go all the way down Queen's Gate, all the way along Old Brompton Road and up Warwick Road. That would work, it's big roads, but it just feels a bit wide and overkill. So I think, you know what, I'm going to cut it up through the middle, you know, wiggle around that kind of Gloucester Roady kind of area. So left Stanhope Gardens, right Stanhope Gardens, forward Harrington Gardens, forward Collingham Gardens, right Laverton Place, forward Courtfield Road, left Earls Court Gardens, and this is a bit annoying because where it drops you in, I'm just below Trebobia Road. So I've got to go right Pennywell Road, right Warwick Road, and then get into Nevern Square that way. It cuts out a lot of traffic lights, but it is a little bit of wiggling. It probably would have been just as good to go all the way down to Old Brompton Road and come up, but getting in there is the most important thing. Right, I might have blown my one chance at Albert Hall. I say blown, but you can't ever guarantee what, really. We'll try have another go at the Royal Albert Hall. I'd be very, very surprised if there's anything left. That burst like half hour ago, so not much is going on until I get to the Knightsbridge area, when I notice that there's no cabs on the Mandarin. It's do or die now, really. I can either turn off my light and accept, right, I can just drive home from the west. It's kind of a depressing thought, really, that you're all the way west and you've got to drive past all these people on the street that potentially want jobs. I'm also scared because this guy outside the Mandarin is wearing red trousers, which denotes must be a posh dude, probably lives west. So I roll down my window, I accept my fate. I'm thinking he's going to say Wimbledon, he's going to say Olympia, Hammersmith, could be Chiswick, right? And he wants to go to Dover Street, Bagatelle. Nice. Turns out he's French. He may or may not live in London, who knows? But, you know, false alarm in that you see red trousers and you think, this is a nice easy one. A little bit annoying because of the underpass being shut, but we just have to ride out into Hyde Park Corner for a little bit, over the top, forward into Piccadilly, left into Dover Street, set down on left there. Home time. I haven't been out this late for ages. It's like 20 to 12. Feels like old times. It's been a while since the cab has felt like this, which is nice. I could stay out, but to what, grab a few more quid, and I think I'm fairly happy with what I've done. I haven't made that sort of money, regular sort of 2 to 11 shift for quite some time, albeit a few hours later. But at the end of the day, when the work's there, the work's there. So yes, thank you very much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this, then I'll leave another video I'm sure you're gonna like over here. See you again soon.